I can't quite believe that I'm saying this, but Falcon and the Winter Soldier is so much better than WandaVision. And frankly, it annoys me because it feels like the certain kind of people who wouldn't generally watch Marvel films only saw WandaVision. And I believe that that's like a serious problem because Falcon and the Winter Soldier just touches on so much more when, in all honesty, WandaVision is like a fun little show that anyone can really jump into and enjoy. Falcon and Winter Soldier is still, enjoyable and still open to different people to view it. It's not just a Marvel thing. But it just covers on so, many more topics and things that are really interesting, and it's really clever overall. And to me, it just seems smarter than WandaVision. It definitely feels like the writers had more intent, and it definitely felt like they delivered on their intent and also made it more satisfying for the viewer. Because, let's be honest, if WandaVision didn't have the mystery element to it, it would be nothing. Like, the only thing that really kept it going, in retrospect, was the looking forward to the next week of stuff. And that's not to say that I don't like WandaVision. I was loving as it went along, but the more and more I think about it, the more it kind of disappoints me as a whole, because I feel like, definitely with a promise, it could have been a lot better, but it's still a solid introduction. And I don't really want to go into WandaVision too much. I just feel like it has to be mentioned because I saw some people saying you can't really compare the two, not in terms of content, but in terms of what they are in the real world and their relation to us as people. Yeah, you definitely can compare them, and I think you should compare them because that's all that people are going to do. So, here we go. Falcon and Winter Soldier is the coolest thing ever. I know I deal in absolutes a lot. And I was really cynical going into this, so just some things to bear in mind. I didn't like the WandaVision finale going into this, but I liked WandaVision as a whole, and I would definitely suggest the new series of Marvel television to people who hadn't seen it before. And I still say, go back and watch WandaVision if you haven't seen it already. So coming fresh from that, 2 weeks later we had Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which was the show I was least interested in going into the Marvel television series. Frankly, I think I was most excited for Loki, probably second most excited for What If. WandaVision was right down there, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier was dead bottom. I was interested to see this ever since the arrival of Endgame, and thinking Sam has to be Captain America, and even before all of this, there were thoughts going in. Like, before anything had been announced by the show, we all knew that the main staple of the show would be, or we at least hoped it would be, what would it like for a black man to take up as Captain America? I'm not going to talk about these issues and what I think should have happened, simply because I do not understand the issues, and I think they covered that in the show quite well, that, you're really not going to be able to. And I find it disappointing because the kind of people who watched WandaVision who hadn't seen Marvel stuff before, I think would really benefit from watching this. Like all the people who put petitions on their Instagram and stuff. I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying this show wasn't marketed incredibly well. It looked like a silly Fast and the Furious style action show, when it really isn't. There's very little action in this, and I believe that's part of the problem. Somebody told me they didn't like it because they watched it over one weekend to get caught up for the finale, and they said it's not good, there's not enough action, it's very boring. And I think that's true, but it really speaks to how these shows need to be consumed. Because the show isn't meant to be binged all at once. This is supposed to be a television show that comes out once a week and you watch it. It's not designed to be binged all at once. Like, genuinely, the episodes are so long, and that's a slight criticism I had on it. I feel like a couple could have been slightly shorter in places. But it's not really that big a deal, because you've got that, and then it ends, and then you've got to wait a week, and then you build up your excitement for it. If you binge it all at once, this would be a very, very, very boring show. As a big Marvel fan, I watch it the minute it comes out on a Friday, and I feel like I benefited from doing that, whereas other people just automatically didn't like the show because it's boring. It's not boring. It just, there's a lot of it, and consuming a lot of it in a short time space, really doesn't help, because the episodes are lengthy. So, going back to Sam being Captain America, it raises some interesting things, and it definitely gives both sides of the argument, but it's good because it also has Sam make his own decisions. If he was just wandering around the entire series going, well, what do you think? Well, what do you think? that wouldn't work as well, in my opinion, because, he was chosen to be Captain America. He's still, a clever person and he has some disposition. And I feel like it would be against the course of the show if he didn't have his own opinions. And, people challenged him. And that's something that I really enjoyed, is that even after he became Captain America right at the end of the show, spoilers by the way, even after he became Captain America right at the very end of the show, people still opposed him. And that was part of the point. And they said, people, still aren't going to like you for this. And he said, yeah, I know people aren't going to like me for this, but, that's a risk you've got to take. And the show as a whole was very good in showing us, what it would actually be like in this universe for a black person to be Captain America. And I think it was amazing how it actually kind of gives a new view on Captain America, less of as a person, but more as an idea. Because there are some things that are said, mainly by the character of Isaiah Bradley, who, if you haven't seen the show, is a black Captain America, who was around during the Korean War, and he was fighting in that, and his name just never got mentioned, and he was put in prison and beaten up and experimented on, which is something that happened in real life to African Americans who fought in certain wars, so I thought that was an interesting parallel. But he says some things about Steve Rogers. He is incredibly against Steve Rogers, and I think that's good, because I thought for a minute they were demonizing Steve Rogers when he was one of the best and bravest people ever, but he's not. He's demonizing the original version of Captain America, and if you think about it, it really is very dodgy, because that's the Nazi ideal of creating a Superman with blonde hair and blue eyes that could take down people, run in and take over entire countries, and has a very patriot view of doing things. And to do that, when you really think about it, Captain America is a really, really horrible character, and Isaiah makes the important point of no self-respecting black man would take that upon himself to go and do that. And I feel like some people aren't going to the show, because that's deep for Marvel. They really haven't delved. Even Black Panther doesn't go to this level of social issues. And I did hear some people say, don't make it a show about race, don't make it a show about political issues. Even if this wasn't set in a universe where 50% of everybody had just died and people were displaced from their homes, like certain communities have been in real life, the show is based around Captain America, who was invented in real life and in the continuity of the universe to fight Nazis. He is a social issues character. He always has been, even before you brought Sam Wilson in. And of course, I would really have loved this to be a perfect universe. I'm not talking about the show, I'm talking about real life, where a black man could pick up the shield and would be completely unopposed. That would be amazing. But if they did that in the show, that would be so unrealistic and also kind of odd, because obviously there would be backlash in real life. I mean, they got backlash for the show even existing and trying those things. So imagine if somebody in real life actually tried to do that. And I think people need to realise that this was always going to be a political show, and that you shouldn't not watch it just because of that. It's very enjoyable. I think the action is absolutely incredible. I'm not a big fan of CGI fighting. I think there are some dodgy CGI moments overall, but the fighting is good, and it's few and far between. When I watched it back, I've watched the series twice through, and the fighting the second time around does feel a bit longer than it does the first, but it is amazing. And I'll probably get onto this when I talk about US Agent slightly later, but all of his fighting around that is just so amazing and so well choreographed. So I think we should talk about US Agent, because he's the biggest takeaway. They bring him in to replace Sam Wilson as Captain America right at the start. And to be honest, he's doing a good job as the idea of Captain America, but they start to come to the realization that not everybody with blonde hair who is a good soldier can be Captain America. That's not the point, and that's the whole point of Captain America's character, that he was the nicest person to have ever existed. So he's struggling, and I love the fact that John Walker isn't necessarily evil as a character. He's a man who, nobody would turn this down, apart from maybe Sam, but he had different reasons to. John Walker, as a soldier, would not turn down being Captain America. And to be honest, if somebody came up to me and said, do you want to be Captain America? I would die within 2 minutes, but I would definitely say yeah. So, he's not going to say no. And as an evil character, that's amazing. Because he comes in and he starts going insane. Because it's a tough job. And he's just been told to do this. The government have no backup. They just want him to be a poster boy, and they've sent him straight in. And I think the whole point is the US government missed the point of what Captain America was, which was he was an idea that then told himself he was going to go into war. He made that decision for himself. And you can't just send somebody into war and expect them to be Captain America, because Captain America made that decision himself. And John Walker slowly starts to go insane, and I did see some comparisons in certain things that he does to Homelander from The Boys. I'm not the biggest fan of The Boys. I definitely think it's good, but it's a bit much. And one of the main issues I have with it is that it makes you so desensitized to the violence. When you actually watch the show, those moments seem so desensitized due to the fact that it's constant. It's constant hitting, it's constant screaming, it's constant swearing. So those moments don't hit their mark as well, simply due to the fact that it's always happening, so the jarring effect of those moments is lost. If you see them out of context, even now after watching the show, I'm like, that's so cool. But in the context of an actual television show, maybe some of the bigger moments are slightly lost on me, simply due to the fact that, it's just so often and so relentless. But Falcon and the Winter Soldier is incredible. The show doesn't swear much. It doesn't, swear because it doesn't need to. And it makes the sentences where they do swear seem really powerful, and it actually has the effect that swear words are meant for. So that's good. It's not trying to be edgy for no reason. And that's good simply due to the fact that the moments of violence in this show are horrific. There are some genuine moments of, I can't believe this is happening. I had one of them spoilt for me by the Marvel trailer itself, and that was a bit annoying. And that's when he kills the Fag Smasher. He kills him in the middle of a street, on camera, in a foreign country, and he's got all of that blood on his shield. And I'm like, this is a Marvel property. And I'm like, this is insane that they would include this. And there are some genuine parallels to the issue of George Floyd, which was ongoing, the trial when this show was coming out. And there are some genuine, parallels to that. And I was just thinking, oh my god, this is crazy. This is nothing. And simply due to the fact that that's not happening every single minute of every single episode, makes it feel way more impactful, just due to the fact that this is horrific and this wouldn't happen every day, which is the kind of thing that happens with The Boys. They're like, oh yeah, this happens all the time. It doesn't mean anything. Whereas I shouldn't draw comparisons to The Boys simply because that's not the review that I'm doing. I'm not trying to criticize The Boys in any way. It's a decent show. Also, Bucky having to make amends with people and come used to him being the Winter Soldier is very interesting. I definitely didn't enjoy their relationship at the start because I've never really liked these two characters, and I know that some people ship them, but no. Just not for me, alright? But overall, I think their relationship was very good. You couldn't do it with just one of them because a lot of the beats kind of cut from one to the other. They spend very little time together, really. It's more just cutting between one and the two, and the time they do spend together is incredibly well written. I don't want to go on for too long about it because you should definitely watch it for yourselves, but the ending is really satisfying. The speech goes on, he has a great speech, the speech goes on for a while, but it's definitely justified. And I feel like a lot of people are going to give the show flack simply because...
oh no, social justice and stuff.
That's the point, shut up. I'm sorry, it's important, and it's not said enough in superhero films, just as a whole. And to see that was really powerful, and it genuinely makes you think. And if you can talk about the last time a superhero show made you think, you'd probably say WandaVision. But what was WandaVision really making you think about? What's coming next week? Just as a whole, it's just more clever in the messages it tries to convey. I mean, that's a part of it. Overall, I know some people didn't enjoy the show as much. I haven't heard any bad reviews. I've just heard that it's a bit long or a bit lackluster or stuff. Just remember that there was going to be a virus storyline and this show is going to be like 9 episodes long. So just be glad that didn't happen. I'm incredibly excited for Loki. I'm going to make a video before that comes out. But currently, I'd say that the state of the MCU shows is looking good. This is definitely my favourite by about a mile. When it came up at the end and said Captain America and the Winter Soldier, I got chills. I just can't wait. Thank you for watching. Hey guys, if you like this, don't forget to check out some of my other videos. Please like and subscribe. I've got a short film up on here. You know, it's the Oscars this weekend. I'm probably going to do a video on that. So yeah, have a good time with it, you know. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you, you know.